I get part of why they want drones. What? I get part of that.
Yeah.
For the
Well,
vast majority of people though, I don't
that-
think they care.
they'd have never done anything like that. Well, most people would never have thought that up either, but
Hello, Mr. Art. We're
Hi
early.
there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
We got the room a little early, so
So it seems. Well,
of course
so
I'm not expecting anybody other than me and Barry to be here until later, about 15 minutes from now, but
why was it delayed from 5 p.m. that I didn't understand?
so the room was scheduled for another group, was supposed to have it until 5:45,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided, I made the command decision of just starting the meeting a little later and staying a little longer. So we technically have the room until 7:30 tonight, so
Okay. Well, that's good.
yeah, so we could have a little extra long meeting. But apparently whoever had the room scheduled didn't show up, so,
Really? No.
and Barry caught the fact that the room was empty. I was sitting up in the little lunch area or the vending in the vending area. I do not remember doing
I was gonna say,
that. I don't remember doing that.
Well,
Can we get rid of it? Just
how'd you get past it?
I typed in what my normal passcode
Oh,
would be
well,
that I don't want to tell you.
then let me get rid of the code.
Yeah, get rid of that. Sorry, I don't remember doing that. I gave Barry a phone and don't. How did I do that? How did you do that? I hit the
It
button.
was under the green passcodes.
So I don't know about you guys, but we've been having a fairly heavy rain for what, a week and a half, something like that.
Lot of flooding. Lots of flooding.
Well, fortunately,
Yeah, speaking of. One pop.
so
Great.
you
Great.
shake it up good or what?
This pop blew up.
I did shake it up, but apparently it decided to go ahead and explode anyway.
It prompted again.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm just trying to figure out how to
Oh, there.
clear it out. Want an authorization to clear it, so.
Well, that makes sense, I guess. Woo! That's a very citrusy smell. Can't do that. Thank you. You're welcome.
Did you just get this out of the machine there in the library or?
No, but it's been in my car. So it might have got shaken up just driving. All I really did was carry it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I honestly do not remember putting a basket on, so
Well, it probably prompted you the first thing out of the back gate.
it probably did.
And Apple doesn't like you doing stuff anymore without a passcode on them.
But I don't remember when I took the picture and sent you the picture of it. I don't remember it asking a password.
Well, we got in. That's all that mattered.
I just maybe it wasn't turned off all the way when I did it. I don't know. Should have asked for a password.
I just
Who knows? So what's going on?
So Saturday, we took down to Ray's place at the Union, at the Journal Building. Finally got the radial arm saw out of the garage. The 8-foot workbench. The 4-foot push around cart. The router table. The miter saw station, miter saw, belt sander. Julie and I worked for hours with the coming on, getting those all up into the trailer.
mm,
We get down there, Ray's got a forklift and 2 helpers, in like, in 2 minutes. They're all unloaded and driven into the building. It's
Yeah.
like,
You should have called him up and said, "Hey, Ray, come and
unload
get
this."
yeah, that's what Julie said, but he wouldn't have been very easy for him to bring the forklift, and
Yeah.
that's what the lifesaver part of it was.
Man, he's got a flat trailer. He probably could have brought the forklift.
Yeah, but then if he put the forklift on the trailer, he wouldn't have room for anything that was loaded in there.
Well, he could have still loaded in your car and
Yeah.
then.
That wasn't the part that was hard. The part was getting all of those things that I mentioned all had flat surfaces, which meant piles of stuff on top of them. So that's all taken care of. Done.
Figures.
What happened? Oh, it won't.
Dimensionally, it's right.
It's just not the right. Yeah, well.
Cameras go the different direction. Gotta love Apple. They gotta nail you in every model. Need a different case. But I was just like, that's the same dimensionally. I think it's
looks
smack
very
right in
nice.
there. I mean, little sawzall. Cut out a little.
Motorola did something actually kind of sort of semi-smart. They kind of sort of,
Just make the whole thing always the same.
well, this model and last year's model dimensionally are the same, and they've got the same back, same camera setup for this particular model. And I'm like, well, that's kind of smart. The specs for the 2 phones are slightly different, but
The trunk of the car is full of telescopes.
oh,
For Mr. Steve.
Steve,
Yeah.
Steve getting that,
Yeah.
we'll be happy.
Yeah.
I had that tripod that it's on years ago. It had to have been 15 years. Was at an auction and they just had the tripod. They didn't have the telescope, they just had the tripod. And I bought it and I mounted a radio antenna on it. a directional antenna. That was the best thing I ever did to work satellites. You could elevate it and you could, if you knew the elevation and the angle of where the satellite was going to be, you could just point it right at it and just follow it right with that thing. That was a great. I don't know what happened to that probably got left somewhere.
You got bunches of tripods if you want another tripod.
It was
That was hard enough.
because of how it was, the whole degrees and
Yeah,
the whole thing.
gun tripod. It astounds me what they want for one of those.
Yeah,
My dad's been looking at them and they're like $1,000. All it is a tripod with a rubber thing to hold onto the barrel of a gun clamp or whatever, so you can hold the gun up there for long range
The only time that I ever
and nuts.
did any serious rifle firing, I was laying on my stomach. I didn't need a tripod.
Yeah. Well, they sit in one of those blinds or whatever and basically holds the gun for you. But
I understand that, but
he doesn't do enough of that to why he wants one now kind of cracks me up. He ended up going out west and just borrowing one from a guide.
did you get it to fit?
Oh, it's the same size as the plastic case. Even though because of
Because of the
it
camera.
looks like it's right, but it's quarter of an inch wider and taller. So it doesn't fit at all anywhere around. I thought it was like, well, the worst case scenario, I could cut out a little square and be the same case, but it hair from slipping in. I figured as much, but just looking at it, I was like, oh, I could at least try.
When I got home, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about that, I pulled it out. I'm like, oh, this might be the same phone.
Well, they're hard to tell the difference between them. Like I said, they're all almost identical. It's stupid. I hate that they come out with a new phone like every 6 months. Or whatever it is.
this is an LG. They do soft updates on it about every 6 weeks.
Yeah,
And everything changes.
yeah.
So
That's
sitting here today, my phone beeps. So I have no idea why it's beeping and what I can do about it.
I got a good one. So I'm sitting at the computer and I have paired my phone to do messages on the computer so I can just type on the keyboard. But I'm sitting there and my phone goes bing bing. I got a notification. And then all of a sudden my computer goes bing 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 bing. And I'm like, wait, it's never done that before. I've always had to just go to the app and do it.
well, that's what cracks me up is like, I don't know when it started happening, but I got an iPad and the iPad, like I'm logged into the same account, but if I get a text message of this, sometimes it comes over on the iPad before it comes onto my phone. So then I hear it, beeping stereo, like off a few seconds of each other.
That's the thing.
What
I
the
don't
crap?
have the notification sound that I use on the phone is not on the computer. How is it making the same sound?
Yeah.
I didn't tell it to do that. Sort of got it fit, sort of. It's gonna die on you, Barry. It's not charged very well.
Oh, it's at 30-something%. Should hold for a while. Yeah, I'll put it on charger,
Probably not long enough to
update it,
do a reset.
move the sound. Try it out, put it on my Wi-Fi so it can phone home and the FBI can come knock on my door like, we found you.
All if you go into those voicemails that are there,
Yeah.
They're all from like 2025. They're all old, man.
I mean, I ain't looking for them.
He upgraded that phone and threw it in a box somewhere and forgot about it or something. Threw it in a box of cords and that box of cords ended up on the pallet.
Probably fell off a desk and landed in it. Who knows? The fact that the SIM's gone is very interesting, though.
Well, I
That's
think they
like they said,
retired
they
it.
buy another phone and
Yeah,
swap
I
it.
think they retired it, especially given its age. It's still kind of current, but
Well, I was gonna say, it's not that old, is it?
what are they? They're up to like 17 now or something.
Oh, I thought it was like 14
I think they're.
S or something just come out. They're coming out.
I think they're up to 17.
Really?
I think so.
Tell how well I track. I'm on a 7, dude.
Yeah, use it until it finally just that you can't use it anymore.
Well, it cracks me up because Apple or AT&T's going bonkers. They're like sending me text messages every couple of days. We need to bring in your phone and have us do a battery test on it. Like, dude, it goes for 3 days. I think it's fine. That's longer than my old one did, ever did. So, but I use it like once in a blue moon. Nobody ever calls me. You know, 90% of my text messages are people wanting to buy dad's properties, but they're about to drive me nuts.
Somebody set our thing to English. Now, according to this, as of March 2026, the 17E, the 17 series, and the 17E, the 17 Pro, the Pro Max, and they're all using the A19 chips.
Whatever. 12, 17, halfway up the chain. 7 to a 12.
7 to a 12, it's probably.
So I'm only, I'm up 5 levels.
I know that's not the Pro model. That was made, according to Google, that was made in 2020. And it does have a 5G chip. And it has an A14. So it's farther early.
My
processors.
my i5 was supposed to be 5G too.
It's I only know what Google's telling me. Only know what the AI is telling me.
I think it's funny they sent me this for free, but they made me buy that thing advertising and bragging how it was a 5G phone and they never used those bandwidths in the USA. So how AT&T was illegally allowed to sell me a phone bragging that it was a 5G phone when they never used the frequency. Kind of feel robbed.
Look on the bright side, if you were in Thailand right now, you
You wouldn't want a phone.
You could use those frequencies, but you wouldn't want to.
They had one of the best jokes was they were saying how the communications was down, the internet's out, and Israel's offering, all the new leadership cell phones for free. I was like, yeah, that's kind of bad, but at the same time, it kind of reminds me of pagers.
Yep. The intelligence coup that managed to get them in the supply chain
Oh, yeah.
with those pagers. That
Please.
had to be just a written one.
Well, they had I watched a video a couple days ago. They were talking about they was like one of the intelligence guys from Iran basically said that we discovered that the guy we had appointed that hunts down Mossad, the guy who's in charge of that was Mossad, and the 20 of his underlings were Mossad. And they're like, yeah, we're kind of screwed. As they're on their 4th Ayatollah in 72 hours. I don't even know if they have appointed anybody else at this point. And they were pointing the third one, the guys that pick them were blown up. So,
So it's like, kind of like, civil engineers. Are the ones who make targets.
yeah. It's funny you say that. I was up at Wright Pat last week, or a week before last, whatever day was, we didn't, I wasn't at the meeting. And it was briefing from the guy that runs Wright Pat. And he went into the Air Force and became a civil engineer, and then it said, of course, he's like all the other engineers get to have fun and we never get a budget, it's like because they get to make the stuff to blow stuff up and we make the targets. So it's like our budget for the Air Force for buildings is under $2 billion for the entire country. It's like they never let us build squat. And he talked about, well, because one of the other branches or whatever, they'll do like drop in a country and they'll build the bridge or something for getting our tanks across or this and that. And, the Army gets a bigger budget. And he's like, yeah, the biggest thing they've ever let me touch is like, building a sidewalk.
Julie was
Yeah.
looking, I'm not certain exactly whether it was a VA sign or what. And she said, oh, look, they're demolishing the temporary World War II structures at Fort Leonard. It's like, those were buildings I was in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that was the airborne base or whatever. It was all, World War I, World War II buildings. And they were like, yeah, you guys are the last class in here because these are too deprecated to have people anymore. So we're going to just get rid of the whole base. I'm like, okay.
What was that?
It became the airborne there out of Wilmington.
Oh.
They turned it into
Yeah,
Airborne Express
Airborne Express.
cargo, but that was I don't know, the Army base, I guess.
I
It had a
know it
big
was
front.
military. I don't know what it was.
But, yeah, we used Civil Air Patrol operated out of it the last year or two. Then they moved the headquarters to
Yeah,
uh,
Airborne
Rickenbacker.
Express and UPS and I think FedEx is up there too, aren't they? Yeah.
So I don't know who on the right or so Airborne Express turned into DHS. DHS got bought by China and kind of moved out of the country. And I don't know who it is now. But DHS primarily does international between China and the US now.
We drove past her on 71 and there's a lot of vehicular traffic and stuff, but I couldn't really tell
Yeah.
who the corporate players were.
Yeah, anymore. I couldn't tell you. I haven't kept track for years.
I think at one point, all the major carriers were
It's
flying in and out of there.
Probably owned by Amazon now as a depot.
Probably is. Amazon flies in and out of there.
I'm
DHL was even flying out in and out of there, I think.
Well, say when Airborne Express went under DHL, or sorry, DHL bought it, that whole base, and that was one of their primary things. But then DHL started going under, and China basically bought DHL. And from what I understood, that is no longer a DHL facility. And from the best I could tell, DHL just does like the Airborne Express flights for Chinese transport to the US.
You see DHL trucks every now and then. You don't
They're
see them
really rare.
like you used to.
Yeah, well, I mean, when they had their big, they took over Airborne Express, they were everywhere, but then they just kind of got choked out by FedEx and UPS and Postal Service and
Well, they used to be owned by
Yes,
a
Amazon.
German company, weren't they?
I have no idea. Originally, it might have been. I just know like anything you buy on AliExpress, if you do the express, it's DHL delivery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I would like to be the person that gets 1% of the value of all the cardboard that goes through Amazon and the brown paper.
Yeah. I'm sure it's all international paper too.
I would be,
That's
I probably
cocoa.
would be happy with like half of the percent or whatever, there's a lot of.
Penny per
That's a
package.
lot.
I'd be all right with a penny per package.
What was the name of that movie where the people are sitting around and they say, oh, we're gonna take it. All the rounding errors, we're gonna accumulate that and nobody will notice.
Yeah.
They look the next morning, $65,000, people were gonna notice.
Yeah. Office space.
Yeah.
Other, that particular premise has been done for a couple of different movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Star Wars, or I mean Superman too.
yeah.
So
Well,
they make fun of it in Office Space. They, well, that was done in Superman, or well, so they check it that. Well, no, but their hands are so up there, trying to do the 2000 bug that nobody will ever notice.
nobody will notice. If
Oh,
you, if
rounding
you
error.
if you sperm off the top just 1/4 of a penny, nobody will notice. Oh wow, it's $3 million. Yeah, somebody notices. Yeah,
I like that movie,
yeah.
and it's so how much most companies function. It's something I watched the other day. They poking fun at how companies operate in the U.S. I mean, it was dead on about 90% of the places I've been. It's pretty accurate. When people wonder why they all go under all the time. You function like that, the duh.
Patty's been on vacation for the past week.
Yeah,
Patty's driving me nuts. We went up to the Air Force Museum
there you go.
with the grandkids and we did birthday parties and just all kinds of stuff. Now we're going to go, I think tomorrow we're going to Kentucky for a soapbox derby
There you go.
thing with the other set of grandkids. And then we're going somewhere on Saturday, and I think we're doing something on Sunday.
Yeah. Keep you entertained.
I don't need that kind of entertainment. I'm good.
One of the guys I know, I hadn't spoke to him for ages. I knew he had a heart attack a few years back, but he posted a video this afternoon. I guess they all went out and did RC cars over the for the weekend or Wednesday or something. It was all rainy, but they were like this big with like gas engine
Yeah.
versions. I didn't even know that was a thing that people really did anymore. But they were out in a big open field, man. Like you could see the peel outs in the grass and the mud, and driving all around like they probably had 30 of them.
My niece's children are big into the RC cars. They'll drive up from Kansas City to Des Moines for the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Race and stuff.
Well, we
I
went,
didn't even know anybody did gas engine RC
Right.
stuff anymore.
My nephew went up with them and we started going through how much they had invested in tires, and colors, and this, and that, and this, and that, and that, and that, and two of those, and it's like you just about have to have the value of a car,
The
a
hell,
real car.
or an RC car.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it, but I was shocked to see him, like, I don't know how many guys there were because they only had a couple pictures, and then I watched the one like 2 or 3 minute video, and they only had 2 or 3 out running around the field spinning out and laying, throwing 3 feet of mud out the back. And I was like, holy crap, those things got some juice on, but like you could hear the gas engines going. I didn't even know they made gas engines for those kind of things anymore.
yeah,
That's how far removed I've been from the game crew.
poor Barry's been using iPhone 7 and doesn't know about gas powered RC cars anymore.
Well, I was gonna say, it was in the, I used to get the magazine, 'cause I was always into the planes, but I don't like most of the stuff anymore is all battery powered, I assume, but like all the RCs I've seen are all been electric for decades.
There's
And,
what I know about the RC cars. There's different classes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going to go like for racing or whatever,
they'll still use
it's
gas.
they'll still, but if you've got, I mean, they've got races for the battery powered ones, but if you've got a gas powered one, you're going pretty much tear up to
Yeah,
whatever.
any kind of distance at all, the gas will hold up.
Yeah, the battery ones aren't going to really compete with
Well, for the
gas.
first, whatever the battery's rated for. The electrical should do better,
And I
at
know-
least for the short term.
I know they've got different weight classes, like, the
This-
big ones and the small ones.
I was gonna say, I've never seen RCs like them. They were all looked like they were about that big, about that wide, and they were, snapping these like 3D printed bodies back on a couple of them, and so where they were popped off, or they were doing like a derby from the round earlier or something like crash derby. Like you guys are like that's some like my grandpa used to do planes or whatever, and I don't know if he made the engines and stuff, but I mean, he's got like a plaque from the Air Force or something from being able to figure out how to pair the engines. Or like the first dual model
Oh, the
airplane models or whatever he built,
synchronize the engine.
synchronize the engines. And then he's got like a big plaque from the state of Indiana, a medallion or something from the Army or Air Force or something when he did that in high school.
I know I had gotten a little tiny bit into RC boats. I know they've got
Gas
Mm.
boats.
motor powered boats, and they've got electric boats, and they've got
Yeah.
steam powered boats, and
I could see
you're
a
just sitting there going,
little sterno engine or something running a
little steam powered,
propeller.
yeah,
Uh,
little
my
what
dad
do
had-
what do they call those single stroke steam engines that just kind of pop and
Hit and miss.
yeah. I've seen a couple of small hit and misses on those boats. I guess it all works.
Yeah, no, I was just saying.
Depends on what you
Anybody
wanna
into it,
do.
I had no idea that stuff even was a thing. I mean, I haven't go into hobby shops very often, but there's a place down there in Myrtle Beach you go to about every other time I go down there, and they don't have any gas engine stuff that maybe some of the planes, and
I bet if you ask them, they
can tell you where to get them or have them stashed somewhere.
got them.
I can't imagine what one of those motors costs.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know
What size CC do you want? 50. Okay. Clunk.
I remember looking at, there was when I used to get the magazines, this back a bit, there was 3 different guys that had built functional scale models of the F-14 that complete with real jet engines. And only one of the 3 had nerve to actually fly it. And because they were $1,000 for each engine. So, and then the models and the servos and everything else for the wings and stuff, it was like a $10,000+ $15,000 model plane. And the guy landed it down the center in the grass with a foam thing because he was afraid of trying to bring it in on the landing gear.
The only I've seen a few a few RC jets, but they're really more of a turboprop than they are a jet.
These
They're-
guys had,
Their propellers are back in the
back in the end,
engine, so it looks like a jet.
Yeah.
It really works more
Like
like
a
a
high
turbo
bypass
prop.
engine.
Yeah.
I've seen the video of the guy when he did his flight, and it took him a little bit. They're really fast.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
It made a
Jets.
real pretty takeoff. And then you hear him cussing like, holy. And then you see it come back and it's like, and you're like, yeah, this ain't fun. Like, how are we gonna land this? I'm not sure.
Wait for it to run out of gas and
Oh, no, you.
glide
No,
it in. There was a guy on YouTube that I think he's moved, but he used to live here in Ohio and big, huge farm, and he would build all kinds of weird RC planes.
Yeah,
He even built a couple of full size planes
yeah.
and flew a couple of them. And I'm sitting there watching this guy, and I'm like, I bet this guy doesn't have a license. He's just building stuff and flying it out
Right.
over his own farm.
Yeah. Didn't used to have all that.
It
I don't know when that all that
he was
came around.
pretty good though. I mean, he knew a lot of stuff about how to fabricate, at least small scale.
Yeah,
Once he started scaling some of it up, it got a little wacky.
yeah. Well, it's a lot harder to make the bigger stuff. You can't just put a 4-foot thing on an anvil and bend it over.
Try. Yeah, he built a plane out of foam rubber that actually flew. He said in it, somebody out on the ground was RCing it, but
Yeah.
I was like, you must trust the person really, really well, or trust your design really, really well to sit in that. And he had one that I guess one of his challenges or whatever was to launch a plane like a catapult, like they used to
Off ships.
off of ships. And he did it. It didn't work as well as he thought it would, but it worked.
Pound thing?
It's Steve.
Well, sorry, better late than never.
It's a present.
Ah, okay, what's with the two pens?
Pull it out, flick it, you look at the tip.
Oh, cool.
You
Don't
said
touch
you
it.
like sharp stuff.
Yeah,
Don't touch it.
very cool, thank you.
I haven't seen.
Oh,
That a pen or a pencil?
that's
Or
a
a needle?
razor.
It's a knife. It's a knife.
Okay. A pen knife, huh?
It's, it does really good for following along a
Ah.
It's like
It's-
a miniature exacto knife.
So it's like a,
They keep you
Right.
on the plane.
Well, you can get it on the plane, I'm not certain you ought to.
uh metal scribe.
Well, you're all blurry, Barry.
I'm blurry on a good day.
And that's good for both of us.
Well, that's worse.
You do two of them back to back. You just get the difference between the two.
As we say, start looking like a mouse.
I don't know that.
So the bigger part of that, so.
Oh, that works like that.
There you go.
Except everybody's upside down now. But I can see you. All right. So what do you think about what they're trying to do with Linux there, Mr. Steve? Linux gurus.
Well, if we're lucky, it'll just be the same as like every porn site. Are you over 18? Yes. I don't really have an opinion. I see positives and negatives. I think it's stupid. Meh.
Okay. I want to know how they're going to implement it. I mean, how are they going to
One
enforce it?
easy way to do it would be at the ISP level. And until you prove your age, you get this DNS server.
But
And
see, that would make sense. But
And,
They're
and it's
trying-
up to each family whether they want to set up their router to go to the safe DNS or open DNS.
But see, that would make sense, but what they're trying to do is do it through the OS. It's Ray.
So
Ray decided to veg out, it looks like.
Alexa, turn on light 2.
Okay.
I'm vegging.
Alexa, turn off the light.
Hey, jerk.
excellent disco move.
Sorry, Ray. I had to do it just because.
Alexa, play Taylor Swift.
No.
Ray's muted us.
Ah,
Thanks a lot, guys. Leave it alone. To turn the volume down.
Are you home?
I am literally at home.
I was gonna say, I assume it was his Alexa.
Yeah. It looks like he's vegging out. He's just done for the day.
Got a fluff.
Well, I've already been to 2 customers today, and I'm kind of happy they went really smooth. So I was like, I have no desire to drive back to the shop and clean up the van and stuff. It just, I woke up this morning, Carol was yelling at me about the pump's not pumping, it's just pumping water straight up in the air, and come out here and fix it. I was like, just turn it off. Like, how do I do that? Like, just turn off breakers in the breaker box. One of them will turn it off.
Yep, that'll do it.
It's nice having a house that doesn't need that.
See that? You see that big switch right on the top? Just turn that off. It'll do it.
Take care.
I was laying in bed. I was like, I don't care what turns off. I'm not going to get out of bed.
Ah. Well, I was listening to the scanner last night. The number of people that needed to be rescued out of their cars and or out of their houses. There were down in Miami town, down closer to the river and the Indiana, Kentucky border, Great Miami. Those people
Got hit.
hard. They had Butler County, Hamilton County, and somebody else there, plus somebody from Kentucky and Indiana, all getting people out of their houses because their houses were getting underwater. And I was going to tell you that, Art, that was a good example of why we have an EMA. Because the EMA from Ohio, from Hamilton Township, Hamilton County, coordinated with the Butler County EMA, and they coordinated with Indiana EMA. So everybody knew what was going on to get people out of their houses. And they were all on the same frequency, gabbing up a storm. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it was organized chaos, but it was
Chaos.
chaos. There was one that declared himself in charge and everybody else kind of answered to him, but there was so much going on. He was taking information to tell him. Okay.
I never understood why Hamilton severed their ties with the state. EM services. Just so they can get more money or keep the money or control the money or.
It's my understanding that every county has at least one EMA
Yeah.
person. And they all answer to the state EMA. But why one county would just cut ties, I have no idea.
Well, 'cause like, last summer we got a tour of the state of Ohio has a really nice facility downtown in the old IC building.
Yeah.
And Hamilton County pulled out, not being tied in. They had, logistics control of the whole tri-state out of that building so they could coordinate with Indiana and Ohio or Kentucky for the river emergencies and anything else and disasters. And
Well, that's what EMA is supposed to be doing.
well, but that's the thing.
Coordination.
They
I mean,
provided that facility for them, and Hamilton County was like, "See, and we're going to go spend money and build our own and not be involved in."
Yeah, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
That's what they were saying too. The guy that was giving it the meeting, like, we're, clashed with the mayor. They're going to pull their own and do their own thing, and they're not going to be in this facility any
Yeah.
longer. And it's like,
Well, here's the thing, from what I heard last night. I guess it doesn't matter because they were all working together.
yeah,
Butler County was there. Everybody was just kind of, okay, we gotta get
Yeah.
these people out. What kind of resources do we have?
How many boats?
How many boats? I guess it was a big operation and they kept watching the storm. They had radar or whatever and were watching the storm and they verified that there was a law in the storm and they were able to get a bunch of people out
there was
during
a nice break,
during that break. And then as soon as it started again, they were back to just chatter again.
Well, I'm not certain exactly why, but I got saddled with compliance with the Superfund Amendment Reauthorization Act. These three sections of it, I was doing Sarah 311, 312, which was reporting of hazardous material. The way they had written the rules in Ohio is you had to provide a map of your facility at a particular scale. It's insane. It would have been 19 volumes, 1.5 inches thick. It's like, who the hell is gonna cart this?
yeah, look at this.
And we said, we'll give you a laptop if you don't make us make these maps. And the local fire department was thrilled with that idea. It's like, yeah.
That's crazy. It's probably just don't have to do like a 1-page blue sheet or a sheet for each building or something, or with a highlighted marks or.
It's been a long time, and I don't remember the scale exactly, but when we have a single building that's a 1.1 miles long,
Yeah,
if you put it on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper,
you can't
you
tell.
better provide a microscope.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I was just thinking like a rough draft of where the building is and highlight where the hazardous
Entrances are.
materials are, because like Ginkgo, we had a blast room about the size of this room where all the powder samples for different alloys and stuff was, so that if it, something did happen at all, it went straight up.
I
I
always
think the
was-
fire department would want to know where that is, because you don't want to spray water.
Yeah, I was under the impression from listening to Franklin's fire department, they've got blueprints for all the buildings. And generally they know
What,
Where-
not to, yeah.
where like blast rooms are or hazardous rooms are. But they don't have like detailed things. And I guess certain businesses have to file like an emergency plan with them. So
I
that,
would imagine anymore, especially depending on what you're dealing in or what you got.
well, and
This was the big thing that I made everybody go through and label water tanks. They said, why do we have to label water tanks? I said, no, you don't have to. But if the building's on fire and the fireman comes up, is he gonna assume that tank is full of water?
Yeah,
Or his,
afraid it is full of gas.
it can be full of anything and be improperly labeled. And they're not gonna rush in there and discover which it is.
Yeah. That was
yeah,
good.
see, that makes sense. Label stuff. Yeah. But I get the general impression that what they've got are just generic blueprints
Oh,
with
yeah.
maybe an exit plan on them or an escape route kind of plan on them. And markings that say hazmat, but not necessarily what that might be.
Well, it would be in the catalog, but whether the firefighters would know at the time and during an emergency, unless it's specifically trained for a particular
Yeah,
case that they're familiar with the building.
When the,
yeah,
when the Cincinnati police came through the building twice a year at Reisenfeld, they had iPads with them and it had the layout and
yeah,
about how many people were on each floor and that sort of stuff. It was pretty nicely done.
yeah.
That'd be kind of nice for firefighters.
Well, they
They can do that.
they
now.
want to know that so that they can get a head count on the
Mhm.
outside.
Well, they know the floor plan, where to go,
2007,
whether areas are.
Julie woke up and said, I smell something. And so I got out of bed and went down, looked around, and I couldn't see anything. Went back and got my glasses and came down and found a scorch mark about the size of the palm of my hand on the wallpaper above the fireplace. And I knew right away that was beyond what a fire extinguisher was gonna take care of.
It's on the extinguisher.
So I told Julie's son and Julie, get up, get dressed, get out. And I called 911 and started taking everything off of the mantle and pulling it away. And the people that showed up happened to be the people I'd worked with on the fire department for the hazardous material stuff.
Yeah.
Just by chance anyway, so. It was kind of an interesting experience. They let me stay in the house, we're walking together. We do a thermal gun in the attic, second floor, first floor, in the basement. Open up all the windows, drag in tarps, bring in fire hoses, set up the fans. And the one says, I think we need to all. What do you think? He turns to the other guy and says, I think so. And they turned to me and said, what do you think? And it's like, I don't know anything about it.
I'd be like, no, put it out.
Don't just climb on the roof and shoot water down in there.
Well,
Fine.
actually, they had to get out on the outside of the house and cut the siding off with a chainsaw. So they could squirt water between the masonry chimney and the framing of the house, because that was on fire.
How did that catch on fire? Missing brick in the chimney or what?
About the third layer back in the fireplace system, there was a crack. And Julie and I had had a fire in the fireplace like 2 weeks earlier.
Wow.
And the hot gases had gotten into the wall cavity. And
Start drying it out.
they just continued to smolder. And that expanded to where it went from the fireplace up into the 2x6 wall above it. Up into the second floor. And took off across the ceiling in the living room, and went left and right in the end wall of the house. And by the time they got everything peeled off, we did not have any walls left in the fireplace, on both sides of the fireplace. It was open to the outside, when they were just cut it off, and
Stop
the
this.
ceiling halfway back in the living room. The fire had smoldered in there. When they said you need to open it up, they hit it with a pike, and the fire jumped out in the living room about 18 inches. And then the smoke detectors went off. That was the first time that. And the one firefighter was able to stick his nozzle in and go. And that was the end of the live fire. But
It's crazy.
they continued to peel back the drywall and peel back the siding until they got into places that were not burnt. But there were structural 2x6s that had been burning for so long, they were not 2x6s. They were the remnant. It was just about an inch. Everything else had combusted away.
That's crazy.
And the thing that was scary to us is we had been out of town. We had been up in Cleveland the weekend before. And if it had broken through the drywall while we were gone, we would have come home to a chimney.
Yeah.
And that was it. No, but they all finished up. I went around and shook everybody's hand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And they acted like nobody had ever done that before. It was incomprehensible to me that,
Well, I mean, they're normally dealing with people that are in shock at that point.
well, I guess so.
I'll say, we were really thankful and we put our chimney out. Wasn't crazy about them burning a hole in the carpet in the living room, but I understand what they had to do. They took the pipe was burning on both ends, and they just kind of ran it through and chucked it out into the, 1.5 foot of snow out front. But it was like the next morning where you see, I guess, an ember or something had fallen and burned a hole in the carpet. So, but if that's the worst of the damage to the house, I mean, we're just happy we still got a house,
So the one firefighter came up and said, I'm sorry, when I was spraying in I got a little bit of water on your print on the wall. It's like, I'm not worried about that. Thank you very much for
Yeah,
having controlled everything.
I'll just say if they were that.
And so I said, I understand your objective is to put the fire out. And they said, no. Our objective is to minimize property damage. And I thought that's the far end of the spectrum from Madman with axes.
Yeah, let's just say it's come a long way in the last 30 years.
Yeah. Well, this was 2007, so that would have been almost 20 years ago. Okay.
I would say listening on the scanner to various fires around, they try to minimize as much as they can until they can't, and then they'll just say,
Time to use whatever.
let it burn.
Well, they'll, like at least in our case, they refrained from doing anything they absolutely had to do if they could get away with the cheaper, less destructive, less messy solution. And they ended up when they put like these little Ziploc bags of a powder pack down the chute to put the fire out. And then when they pulled that pipe out and it was still smoldering, they hand put, with a glove and put it in there and still using an extinguisher.
When the,
So, because the extinguisher would have just, sprayed all kind of toxin in the whole room, and they were like, well, let's see what this does first. If we need the extinguisher, we've got it here.
when, when the apartment building caught fire a couple of years ago, they did everything they could to put that fire out.
Yeah.
But they actually were spraying the other building,
To keep it from fucking fire.
the one that wasn't on fire, they were
Right.
spraying it. And at one point, you've heard them just say, we can't stop this fire, just let it burn itself out.
Yeah.
And it eventually did, but it destroyed the building. I mean,
Yeah, I
it
would
was,
say,
it was
if
gone.
it structurally hit a certain threshold that they can't salvage.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were real fortunate because.
Yeah.
It wasn't a tremendous, thank you very much.
I would say,
It wasn't, a whole lot that was actually burning, like I said,
They did as much damage as they needed to do to put the fire out.
Yeah.
Pretty
well,
much.
and then,
get you to where you knew what you needed to fix.
Yeah,
all the damage though was in discovering what had been on fire. So half the ceiling is down.
I don't know. You guys probably don't remember. Steve might remember. There was a U-Haul, the U-Haul there in Middletown. There was a tobacco company across the street.
And they had a carpentry built,
There was a carpentry thing. You remember when it caught fire?
yeah.
That big propane tank across the street, and that fire burned hot. They were more worried about that propane tank than they were about the building.
Yeah.
They were spraying that they had another company just standing there spraying that propane tank down.
I was about 5 years old. And they had on the news coverage of a fire that was occurring at the base of the street I lived on. I lived at 35th, and around 30th, it was all downhill to there.
Not a thing.
Yeah, what it seems.
On live TV, an entire above ground gasoline tank levied.
Yeah.
And the fire rolled over like 2 companies of fire, and they were all lost in an instant.
But they when that thing was on fire, they had UPS, they had the U-Haul people moving the trucks because the trucks were starting to melt. It was, I was over there, I have video of that catching fire. That was an insane fire. And it was sawdust. The sawdust just kept the fire going.
Yeah. There's a program on PBS, this is probably 25 years ago, it's called Disaster on Duffy Street. And it started out in a pass coming down from the Sierra Nevadas, and the rail line came down and made a turn. And the way I don't know that much about railroading, but the example said you had 2 lead engines and a helper engine at the back. And when they went over the top of the pass, they had a maximum speed that they could be going in order to control everything as it went down. And they had underestimated the weight of the entire train by 60%. And so when they went over the top,
They needed 2 more engines to break.
they needed a hell of a lot more than that. they started locking up the wheels as they were going downhill.
Then they just got slipperier.
It did, and what they were trying to do with the two engines was dynamic braking, which was back EMF. And the rear engineer thought that if he hit the emergency stop button, it would improve things, but it made it worse because it killed the back EMF. And the train comes down and tries to make the turn, but doesn't. And all of the trona that was on this train went out and buried this community. Then the real disaster occurred because they started cleaning up and they didn't have a real sense of where they were in terms of elevation. And following along that rail track was a high pressure gasoline line delivering fuel over the top of the pass. And they nicked that. So the one guy said, they interviewed on this. Is that their own movie or was it real? Real.
It's real, but it's.
No, this is real. And, he said, he looked out and he said, I didn't think it was supposed to rain today. And the people at the pumping station said, you've been in pumps kicking off. We have to start it again. They have to start it again. And what they were doing is they were pumping more fuel in there. The check valves had failed, and
Spraying into.
all the fuel that was in this 12-inch line going up over the pass was coming down, erupting and raining. And when you talk about the fire department, they melted the headlights on fire trucks that were a block and a half away.
Yeah.
So
Well, that fire destroyed one fire truck because it was so close and it melted a bunch of stuff. Plus, the part of the building fell on it, so.
well, the third part of this disaster is that all the families hired an attorney to represent them. And he was so deeply in debt, he settled the entire court case for like $60,000 and divided it up among everybody in the community. And he took his portion and headed out the door. Disaster on Duffy Street.
That's
Trying that.
I've got a video of that. And you could see that building had big wood girders and big suckers. You could watch the flame start at one end and it just crept along, and it just was. I gave the video to the ATF because they were investigating it, and they sent a little note, a little thank you letter.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. The only thing I asked for my tape back because at the time those stupid tapes were flipping expensive. And they sent me my tape back, and they sent me a little letter that said thank you for the video, because I don't know if you would have actually. I just happened to be in the right spot to see it slowly moving across that beam, but. And it was really cool, and you could see where it was going around the outside of where the fire was going around the outside of the windows, all kinds of stuff. It was doing some weird stuff.
This is not directly related to that, but I stumbled on something that I didn't know about. In 1755, in Lisbon, there was a tremendous earthquake that destroyed most of the city. It was on All Saints Day in 1755. And then a tsunami came in, and everybody had run down to the seashore to keep from being crushed from the buildings that were masonry buildings that were collapsing. The tsunami wiped them. Well, this is probably a reflection of my sixth sense of humor, but the entire town was scheduled to attend a special event that afternoon. They were going to burn 3 heretics at the stake. And that didn't happen because the town was destroyed. I'd never heard of 1755 to me is recent history of an entire town being leveled in Europe by
When was that?
1755.
What? Yeah, so you
Lisbon,
said
Spain.
Lisbon, Spain.
Well, Portugal.
I guess I wasn't familiar with it. I've never heard of it before either. You'd have thought that'd have been in the history classes though.
There's a lot of stuff in the history.
Yeah, funny.
So,
Apparently no Anchorage and Seattle and all that sinking. Well, like Anchorage had an earthquake in the 1880s or it was
Alaska?
19 yeah, well, their whole city sunk 16 feet.
Oh, that was in the 60s.
60s. And it's like, I remember when we were up there, when one of the boat tours we took, you could see where the roofs of the building were in the mud on the shores where Anchorage used to be. Back in, yeah, old Anchorage.
I can remember seeing that in the Weekly Reader when I was in grade school.
Yeah. I'll say something similar like that happened to Seattle too. That's part of why the one street area or whatever is underground. So their buildings, they ended up just building on top of them and having another floor to them instead of.
The one there that I recall was the liquefaction when the earth started shaking, everything just dropped. Like I said, 15 feet, 1/2 of the street, and then
The other sides, yeah.
look at the
Now I got basements.
we wanna know about my pictures,
Yeah, I was curious about one of your emails too.
one of my emails. What my email say?
I was wondering what you want and had to go pick up.
Oh, I don't.
8 years ago.
Should get you one of those.
I want
What
one of
was-
these.
How big
I
is
say
the area? Is
I
it
was
800
8
by
years
800?
ago.
What is
What
that?
was the same? I don't remember.
So it's
In favorite or where?
2.6 foot by 2.6 foot by 3.3 foot.
That got all the modern features on it.
Yeah, all the modern features.
Well, let's say the Hive used to have a
Where is
big,
this maker space?
No, Greene County Career Center.
And it's open to the public? No. You got to tour that because your granddaughter was there?
Grandson. My grandson, he wants to do basically graphic design. But of course, we're walking through and I see this. So it was open house day for students to come and meet their teachers and figure out if they really want to do what they think they want to do. And I'm like, are you sure you don't want to mess with that?
I remember now, was a telescope. Someone posted a telescope sale in our mail, but was 8 years ago, right?
Yeah.
60 bucks for a telescope.
The listing that you said with your scope was $8.
Oh,
Eight years ago.
That was the only photograph of that type of telescope that had the right model numbers. It was not the same set, the picture.
So,
The picture of what the scope is.
Okay.
the listing was from 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, Yeah.
I was jumping on that.
The,
It's,
Yeah, you got the Ramshamboski for it at the car.
there's the contents. I spend a lot of time looking at the stars and studying stars.
there's a big old router. That looks like somebody, it looks like some student is actually making a poker table.
Yeah. Or
Yeah, I
cardboard,
mean,
or-
that's what it looks like. There's this big,
Those pens there.
yeah. So this thing behind it, behind the printer, that is where they could fly quadcopters or RC
Class
cars.
two?
It's an obstacle course. There's a whole,
Yeah.
there's a whole thing. There's a mini mill, CNC machine.
They passed through the 3D printer also. Right, I imagine. Where
There's one of these little
you're waiting
robot
for your work
arms.
for 3 days and a drone smashing your
Yeah.
3D prints.
This printer did not seem like it was,
Kill someone.
it didn't seem like it was real fast, but it seemed like, I mean, for the size, you're,
I'm thinking you print it in smaller parts and bolt it together, because if you have to print something that size, how are you gonna handle it?
there's a, robot
Illegal
arm.
has a printer of this size, right?
Do I?
Illegal,
Yeah.
the brand, they have a.
Egu, yeah. It's,
orange.
that one there.
Okay,
And,
it's not expensive. You
and
need
it's
it.
reasonably priced.
If you need it, yeah.
If you've got the room for it, it's really reasonably priced.
They had one about
Must
that
spend a week
size
doing something.
at the Hive for a long time. That was just some company had loaned the Hive, and then I don't know whatever happened to the company. They were wanting to. It took a lot of maintenance because the printers were not very
Robust.
well. Like I said,
Die down.
you had to do a lot of tinkering to make it work every time you wanted to make
Everybody.
something. And to print something in that volume takes weeks. Back then,
Now, I saw 3D printers that is like an R, and they print in any direction, just rolling in any direction, whatever, moving around the part. Not only flat things, they move around.
It's
Constructing
yeah.
everything in all dimensions.
4 or 5 axes.
Yeah, and it's making a branch of something, for example, and then continue doing whatever. Very interesting.
Like I say, they had those hand pens or whatever a while back, and not surprising somebody's put them on a print.
Yeah, 3D pens.
This actually isn't a slow printer, really. if
I
you
had a
can-
copper, but they
300.
broke after a week, they very bad quality.
Maximum 300 millimeters a second. It's really not that slow.
Yeah,
It's big.
I was just saying,
It's big.
you put the speed and then you go by the
And
how large
there
the
is
print
also
is and
a hot end for
multiply
500
the
rays.
hours to lay down, 5 kilograms of plastic.
Well, they were printing a very large Lego piece.
It's amazing.
And when we walked in the building, it didn't even have the first layer. When we left, it was just finishing probably the 3rd layer, maybe the 4th layer, and we were there, I know, an hour.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was saying,
it was not a fast printer.
there was a guy trying to print a koi fish on the Gigabot or whatever they were at the Hive. And I forget how many days it had been running. But it's spaghetti
Oh,
about that high.
so what I think I read about that one was it's got a couple of cameras on it, so that
Oh, yeah.
so if
Catch
it's spaghettis, it will stop it.
Well, no, I mean, that's the same. This was
Yeah,
probably almost 20 years ago,
well, I mean,
15 years ago.
a lot's changed in that
Yeah.
amount of time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the Gigabot printer back then was $25,000 printer. Company like here, they ended up selling it for like 10. Cause the company didn't want it back or didn't.
Ray is the only place that I know of that's going to have the space for a printer like that, though. Ray?
I'm surprised Ray,
Yeah, I'm here.
he's got all the stuff to make you one that big.
He's got all the stuff to do it, yeah.
He can make you a bigger one.
That printer that my stepson got you, that was like 48 inch.
Yeah,
It,
it's
I-
actually 36 inches wide and runs on a roll. It's really nice. I've used it to make
Oh, is that
let's see, 3 posters and like 8 banners
It's a pop.
and several building electrical CAD drawings.
Format printer.
I was thinking you
But-
were talking about like.
my question, and I didn't hear your response, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. But what's the maximum width of the paper it will print? Is that 48 or is it smaller than that?
It's 36.
36. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, 36 inches. It'll print onto like super heavyweight paper, which feels like poster board. It'll print on vellum and like has to be like a soft vellum and paper. The ink itself, because it's a print head, the ink is aqueous, which means it's water based. So I cannot print directly onto a standard vinyl. I don't like that. I'd love to be able to print onto vinyl. So someday I'll be buying a what do they call it, a solvent printer or a UV printer.
UV printer.
Get you that new laser one that does colors.
Yeah, of course.
I think I have a roll of canvas-like material that is clay coated from HP. And I meant to bring that down today, but I'm glad I didn't because you're not here.
I had that Green County Career Center. That's a really interesting place. They've got probably 90% of the careers that you could think of wanting to do covered in that place. And they've got a lot of the equipment that you can probably find out in the field. I mean, so. Plus, it looks like they also have fun with drones and some other stuff, so. So, that area, was like the automation area, and they had. Some of those some of the toy sit-in cars that little kids drive around, and they were converting them to RCs and doing all kinds of other stuff. They had 6 or 7 of them in there. And the kid that was there was like, yeah, eventually we're going to convert them and they're going to run them through some of these mazes and stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Yeah. So they had a room off to the back, which I wasn't allowed to go in because my wife kept pushing me out, where they were designing 3D models for print or models for the router to route.
Where all the cool stuff probably was.
Yeah. Well, I thought that I had caught in my little eye a couple of smaller 3D printers, but I wasn't allowed to go look at them, so I don't know what I really saw.
They were little mini mechs.
Probably. The graphics design thing that the image thing that Hayden wants to do, those were all Macs and he was just in heaven. He was like, I need one of these. Why don't we have these? Oh, this will run Blender. And I'm like, well, PC will run Blender too. I mean, it's just software.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Just not as pretty.
it's just not as pretty. Yeah, he wants to do, not 3D design for prints or that kind of stuff. He wants to do 3D design for like games. And I'm like,
So like Maya or something, modeling.
yeah, yeah,
I got software for that if you want. I got a lot of tutorial. There's a really nice channel on YouTube by a guy named Barry Kimball. Tells you how to use it all.
really, really nice stuff, huh?
It's out of Michigan, not me. Really weird when you find yourself on the internet and it's not you, but they cover what you like to play with.
Well, when you have a name like Leroy Miller, you know how many of us there are. You'd be surprised how many of us there are.
Well, I've looked at 20 or 30 videos on how to operate Blender. And I have met my match in terms of learning something.
Really?
I gave it a,
I haven't ever tried Blender. I got a buddy that dove into that and thought it was a piece of cake, but
I'd like to know how he thinks.
he I don't know how long he'd been playing with it off and on, but when he took it seriously there at work, he made a model inside a week. It was
The,
like all the parts on the crate and it all coming together and showing you how it all assembled, and
the only
it was
time,
really neat. He banged it out and nothing flat, like it was nothing.
the only time I've ever used Blender, it was there, another piece of software needed Blender to render whatever. The other piece of software was a piece of cake. It talked to Blender. Blender did its thing in the background and shoved the model back into the other piece of software. Otherwise, I would have been like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
well, the one that got me with the little modules where you can take a plug from this one, output from this one into that module, and then you can adjust that. So you got a flat surface that is undulating, and then on a microscopic level, it has a different texture, and then it's raining and reflectivity.
Well, yeah,
I would say it can get really complex. He was just doing it to do like how to build the crate, like he'd take all the lumber, put all the pieces, tell you what they all were, and then what the crate was, and it would like show you all the parts, and it would come together like what order to build the crate in. It was really slick, and it was all just like a little video, 30 second.
I
I was
think-
like, dude, that is sweet.
I did a simple thing. I thought it was a simple thing. Checkerboard, sphere, and cube. And then I could change the reflectivity and the light sources.
See
And
how that
I
feel.
thought, I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Mine was a screwdriver. I found some tutorial and use Blender to make this screwdriver. I spent a week, better part of a week on it. It doesn't look like a screwdriver.
The first 2 or 3 items you ever do in one of those kind of things, and if you make it through that, then it gets a whole lot better.
The guy that did the
Doorknob broke me.
the homemade bread and the slice of it and the butter melting into the holes and it's fun. I can go into the kitchen and bake a loaf of bread.
Take a picture, yeah.
Take a picture of it.
if this other software hadn't been there, I don't think, I probably would still be sitting at my computer going, how does this work?
I used to, there for a long time, I liked Maya, because that's what they used for like all the computer animation, or, effects and all this and that. It was like totally like Lord of the Rings stuff. And about the third model, and like when you start building like the skeleton for moving arms and all that kind of stuff, and you're supposed to be able to grab and move the model if you had stitched it all together right as a test to make sure all the skeleton was built right. And I moved the model and like 2 or 3 points weren't connected right, so it all ripped the model inside out, and the arms like twisted and then imploded out like balloons, and you can't undo it back to. So I was like, oops, I'm done. This is way too stressful and tedious. I can't take this crap.
One of the cool things about Blender was it was originally designed to use Beowulf clusters, which are super simple to put together and very cool things. We did a setup for GE years ago when I first started in the Linux group, building a Beowulf cluster of their used computers. That was fun.
When AK was contemplating building a new steel plant, there were several sites that they were considering. They made a final decision and said, we're going to announce that location. Come to the meeting room and get to see this. There was sitting there with a white screen. And sitting there, and the white screen seemed to change just a little. It changed, and you could see something was happening. And then out of what turns out to be a cloud comes the AK helicopter. Except AK doesn't own a helicopter. So this CG helicopter flies over and you realize, oh, this is Bloomington, Indiana. You see the power plants and all that stuff. And you see the facility and what it's going to be. And then the helicopter goes down, the door opens, and the helicopter flies into the building. And you get to see the virtual tour of the entire bit of the interior. And then at the end, they fly up, and goes into the clouds again. That was it. It was.
I think that's more like what Aiden wants to do is stuff like that. Yeah.
Somebody made a lot of money for that video.
Yes, they did. Yeah,
Almost as much as a helicopter.
they probably could have bought a cheap used helicopter.
Could have done the whole thing with a drone for $100.
Except the building didn't exist yet.
Technicality.
And probably drones were either very, 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 very expensive or non-existent.
Oh, drones have been around. The little quadcopter has been around a long time.
I know.
Just in the general public, they've only been the last 15 years or something.
Good.
Now.
Good.
I can just
Good
see
drone.
the coordinating task. You open the door and then I fly through.
So they watched it a few times before they presented it, is what you're saying. Fixed the bug. Because I could see the video going through the door.
I was pretty impressed with Greene County, what they've done for a career center. That was a lot of modern stuff. Not so much. Not so much going to learn stuff on, equipment that probably will be out in the field, but is obsolete by any stretch of the imagination. It's hopefully Aiden he's right on the spectrum. So hopefully he can calm himself down and just do the work that he needs to do and learn learn what he needs to learn. But
Drugs
I
for that.
do I
There's drugs for that. They're getting better. But yeah, that's got to be his choice.
his personality when he's on his meds, it's not right, and they have adjusted and changed and
The perfect example of what Ritalin does to kids, I think, was on King of the Hill. They put Bobby on it. There's a gallon of milk in the refrigerator that's about to go bad. There it goes.
Yeah. Aiden just turned 16. He knows that he's probably never going to be able to drive a car because
Oh, really?
of various things. It's not just his, there's other reasons.
Okay.
But he realizes, I mean, you know, this is the same kid that when he was 5, he was reading college textbooks. I have no doubt in my mind he can do whatever he sets his mind to do. It's just getting his mind to calm down enough.
Yeah.
So that he can do it.
And you have the people who realize if they take the medication, the voices go away. But they don't want to take the medication because the creativity, all the things that make them.
Well, I know it has different effects on different kids. My middle kid, holy crap. When he's on Ritalin, he can focus on one thing to the exclusion of absolutely everything else and get anything done. But take him off of it, everything's going in circles.
Aiden seems to be best with like video games. I mean, a video game will hold his attention to anything else. Everything else around him could just be falling apart and he's focused on that game. So hopefully now he also, you know, he walked in, saw all those computers, he knew all the software, he knew what he needed to do, all that. So hopefully he could just sit in front of one of those computers because it's got video on the screen and focus on what he needs to do. That's really
A lot of production is the same thought process as games. Keep doing one thing over and over and get a little bit further each time.
well,
And keep practicing what you're doing.
I think that's why he is gravitating towards this. He's watching plenty of videos about this stuff. He knows this stuff. He'll talk to you like he's been in the business for 30 years. 16. I mean, he's never even they don't own an Apple. He doesn't know nothing. But he'll talk to you like he has been living this stuff for ever. So like I said, I have no doubt he can do it. It's just getting him to when he walked into this classroom, there's 20 iMacs, maybe last year's model, but new enough. This one. Stop. Just one. Just pick one. You don't need all of them. But I want to see if this one's different than that one, or this one's different than that one, or that. They're all going to be exactly the same. There's not going to be any differences. The instructor goes, a few of them have different pictures. Like, you're not helping.
One of my gigs, good grief, I guess 2010 or 12, was the Art Academy of Cincinnati. And they had round numbers about 400 Macs. And one of my things was scripting and all have the same backgrounds, same set, but you'd go into a room and they were all time. So they were into I can't remember the artist's name, but does mostly pictures of birds. They're very geometric
Oh, yeah.
and
Harper.
now maybe I don't know. Harper, Charlie Harper. So it was the one in the far corner would start with a picture of a cardinal, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and then this one would be a bluebird, and then this was the blue. So as you walk into the room, there's these birds just basically circling you. It was weird. It's what they wanted. The guy that was in charge of that was an artist that had been told that he was now in charge of IT. Oh my God. He wanted me to hand cut all of the network cables so that they laid nicely in the cable trays. I'm like, how about, yeah, Charlie Hurt. How about we put a stuff box back here? So all the cables looked right. There was a stuff box that took up 2U and all the extra cable in there and the cover. You couldn't see the extra cable, and then came out and went to the switches. Looked beautiful. No, I know it's there.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. So I they paid me like $50 an hour to crimp cables. Okay.
And the next,
Hundreds of cables.
and the next director came in, rearranged the room and all the cables were too short.
Yeah, probably. This was before they had those nice skinny cables. This was all the 1/4-inch thick standard Cat 5e stuff.
That's kind of one of my good friends. He is a systems engineer, makes a lot of PLCs, builds them out. He doesn't build them. He designs them and tells other people to build them. He one day he's like, the company that I work for is hiring. You want to come and just build PLCs? And I'm like, I really want to program them. And he goes, I know, but you gotta
Start
start
somewhere.
somewhere. I'm like, okay. He showed me what they did. And all the wire traces are all nice and neat and and they're all color coded. Color code's fine. I can deal with color codes. I can even deal with the tags on the ends of each one that tell what they do and where they plug in at. No problem. They're all so nice and neat. And he's like, yeah, I know you. You're going to struggle really bad with they all have to be nice and neat part of this.
Big wiring harness out of a B-52.
I said, I could do it, but I won't like it.
Yeah. I did that for UV technology. We were making high power power supplies for ultraviolet lights with mercury contactors like that. 900 watt per inch, 6-foot long bulbs, huge things. And yeah, we had to make the stuff look good.
Yeah.
The saving grace was we only had 3 colors of wire: red, white, and black, and green, brown in there too. But yeah, I struggled with mine. Were never the neatest. We're the first ones done, but mine never came back because something was broken.
Well, when he was my business partner when we had the shop, and I would just take, conduit or whatever and just shove cables into it. I didn't care. I mean, color on one side, okay, we put a little crimp on this that says what it does. We crimp the other end that says what it does. It's a big bundle of cables. Who cares? And he's like, no, you got to make them neat, because if anybody has to go in that cabinet, they're going to want to look and see what they're going to want to know which cable to pull, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, you're going to struggle with this job, aren't you? Yes, but just put them in a conduit. It's fine. Just stick them in a conduit. Gets the job done.
There was a U-boat submariner came to work at Middletown Works. And he's looking at the drawings of the piping system, and he says, it doesn't show where all the welds are. So,
Doesn't show where all the welds are. When I got back, me and Dad were talking about some of the pipe, how we fixed on the sub fixed leaks. And I said, oh yeah, there's hundreds of pipes out there with patches like that on them. They don't fix them. I'm like, no, they would absolutely, if a pipe burst like that and we had a patch on there, it would get fixed like that. That would be one of the very first things that gets fixed.
that always scared me because
They don't fix those pipes.
and if there is a leak, it would follow the backfill. And it might be 2 blocks before it comes up into an electrical ring. So you got 4 or 500 parts per million carbon monoxide. And you don't have any idea where it's coming from because it was coming out of the conduit, but that conduit may have crossed over another conduit in the backfill. So the source of it,
See, we pulled for that, I was on an R&D boat, so we were pulled apart a month. I was in between the bulkheads pulling wire one day. And this is probably where I got the whole idea of just put it in conduit and be done with it. We were pulling, wire that was yay thick. But it probably had 200 wires in it. I mean, we're in this little gap. I'm pulling it, getting it down to the next person, and they're pulling it. And we're all just pulling it until it finally goes out of the bulkhead. And somebody down on the other end puts a cap on it and plugs it into the machine that it needs to be plugged in. So they don't care. Actually, the way they had ours, there were probably 200 wires in there, but maybe 50 of them were being used. So if one of them went bad, you just disconnected it and hooked a different wire. Marked it on the sheet. Oh, this wire is no longer what we think it is.
Did a lot of that telephone work. We'd pull 250 pairs if we needed more than 125, but less than 200. So we always had spare pairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was my rationale when we were doing when we wired Cat 5 up over at the pizza place. I said, if we're going to do this, let's just, instead of dropping what they need, let's drop 2 or 3 extra wires. It won't take any more time to do it. Well, not the way we did it. It won't take any extra time to drop a couple extra wires. If a wire goes bad, we'll have spares. We could fix it relatively quickly. But that was another job where, yeah, we pulled part of it across ceiling tile, but most of it was in conduit. So
My new systems. We started off in one building. Owner of the company bought an old GE building. It was big. was right up the street, and we could walk there. There was no problem. So we go in and we're looking around and figuring out where people are gonna sit and where we're gonna need to run cabling and stuff. And yeah, we ran about 20% extra cabling with nothing. Could have run them.
We ran. So the guy's office was up on the second or third floor. But his switches and everything were down on the first floors. So really the only option we had was drop it through the conduit that was already there. Because there really wasn't a whole lot else we could do. I guess we could have taken the wall off or whatever. Done it, but luckily whoever did that building put conduit in there that was nice and big. I mean, it was, plenty of room
Yeah.
to put extra stuff in. So,
Well, electricians always aim for that 30% fill thing.
yeah. It was, we really didn't have a whole lot of choice. I mean, we could have. I think we went wireless for a little while and that didn't really work because of something. We tried,
Wireless just sucks.
we tried something, well, yeah, back then it would have been G, it probably just didn't get up to the floor that it needed to get to.
Switching gears entirely, I didn't remember until just now, I have some 3/8 inch diameter fluorescent tubes that are in a variety of lengths. Some of them are 4 inch, some of them are 6 inch, and some of them are 12 inch. Is that anything that anybody has any use for?
Okay, why? Why do you have a pile of tiny little fluorescent tubes?
Don't ask why.
I can tell you why I know I have them, because when I moved stuff that was going to raise, that came out of the drawer, and it's like, oh, these used to be in battery operated
Oh.
exit signs. Okay. And I kept them because they were kind of neat. But after 20 years, you really lose interest in keeping them.
So marine backlights.
Yeah.
One of the, I used to play a lot of D&D. Big surprise there. And I had friends that worked for Ralpartha, so I got all the little lead figures I could ever want. And I used to paint those and make dioramas. And my first really good diorama was about, I don't know, 1 foot by 8 inches. And the base was 3/4 of an inch thick. And I used a transformer out of one of those signs, real flat, little 120 volt to 12 volt AC transformer. And that ran lights underneath the cauldron. And I had fiber optic fibers, like 3 of them, that were sparks flying out of the fire under the cauldron. I drilled 6,000th inch holes through the dragon, down through his neck, and ran fibers up into his eyes. Wow. I spent some time on that thing. Even had a little color wheel so that the cauldron was sparkling. So piles of little fluorescent tubes. I was hoping some were UV. Oh. You were hoping some were ultraviolet. Oh, I have an old IC eraser that I need a tube for. And they're surprisingly expensive because nobody makes them. I guess I could do LEDs, but
I would have thought somebody
That's-
makes a little.
That's the one I want to play.
Starfleet battles.
Starfleet battles.
Have you 3D printed your ships?
Not yet.
But you did cut one out of plywood down
Well, that was for something different, but yeah, I did cut a couple out. The little flea market there in Franklin, guy, he buys storage units and he had just a huge amount of Starfleet battle stuff. He didn't have the actual game, but he had like a ton of supplements. So I bought, he wanted, I don't know, he wanted cheap enough that you can't buy them for that cheap on eBay, that cheap. But I picked all of them up one day and I said, what's the best deal you could do? And he gave me some insane price. And I was like, yeah.
Okay.
Here, twist my arm, please. I went back. He had Fading Suns and Babylon 5 and something else. But he had a ton of them. And I picked up all of them that were left and said, what's the best deal? And I think he wanted like almost $300 for them retail. And he said like $110. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to go to the bank and get you some money. So I found Starfleet Battles for a price that I wanted to pay, but it's incomplete. But I've got the basic rules and whatever for it. One day I'm going to actually sit down and play that game. It looks like an interesting game.
I think I know the guy you're talking about. I was up there once with my oldest son, and they had a bunch of Star Trek stuff. And I've got another friend that's really into Star Trek, way more than I ever was. And they had a Star Trek Barbie.
Different guy.
Barbie in a Starfleet uniform.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted $5 for it. Okay. So
Yeah.
I gave Tom the Star Trek Barbie. With the communicator things. It was a complete unopened.
Yeah, there was a guy up there that I didn't look at that because it said Barbie on it. But yeah, there was a guy up there, a different guy. This guy, he just has random stuff because he buys storage units and whatever's in the unit.
So what did you do with all this stuff? Is it in your apartment or is it in the storage unit? Is he gonna get this stuff back when you
He's
don't?
not getting the stuff back. Not that I know of. No, it's sitting, waiting for me to
Yeah, what?
do something with it.
I just envision the entire ecosystem that consists of material moving through the storage.
From
Unit,
generation to
another-
generation to generation to
It pops up and then it goes back into.
Well,
another storage unit.
I think I've told you guys, I had a Dodge Diplomat. Loved it, that car. Loved it. I drove it until, well, I was bad on it. I didn't change the oil or anything. Destroyed the engine. Sold it to a junkyard, and then I got $300 out of it. Apparently, one of my neighbors bought the car from the junkyard, drove it around, probably 2 years, 3 years, wanted to sell it. I saw it up there. I didn't realize it was my car. I did not realize it was my car. I said, well, what do you want for this car? And he said, I don't know, $200. Okay. I get in a $20 bill. It had like a little thing in the headliner where you could stick stuff. So I had stuck a $20 bill up in it, and I had completely forgot that it was there when I sold it. But I stuck money. I do that with a lot of my cars, so I have emergency money. I reach up, I'm like, hey, that headline liners cracked at the same spot. And I reached up and I pulled out a 20 and I'm like, oh crap, this is my car. I bought the same, I ended up buying that car 3 times.
Did you check the serial number of the deal?
Yeah, it was my
Same
car.
one?
Yeah, I bought that car 3 times. I turned around, I drove it I delivered pizzas in it for a while, sold it. The second time I bought it, I knew it was mine, but you know, the guy was like, it had changed hands 2 or 3 times. And the guy wanted like $100 for it. And I was like, heck yeah.
So I've got an old minivan and the window kept blowing the fuse. And I said, I know I've got
It's-
flat fuses someplace.
It's 7:30. I think need to say bye to everybody. We'll see.
Okay, Leroy, I got a car to sell you.
No, I don't
Talk to
need
you
it.
later.
Sorry, man.
I'll see you guys next week. We're in person again next week.
So, wait,
I'll be traveling, but I'll try.
All right.
Later, guys. Bye.
All right.
I know